When's the last time a skeptic helped you with anything? And I mean that sincerely. Has anyone that has tried to convince you not to do something, or told you you couldn't do that, or the level of performance that you're trying to achieve, oh, that's impossible, has any of those people ever helped you? That's why forums are dead. Because forums are occupied by a large number of professional skeptics. They spend their time keeping people in line. They want people beat into a specific mode of operation. Now, there's a tremendous amount of good that can come from forums. And I mean, when I say forums, I mean like the bulletin board services that are on the internet, right? A forum. They originally started as BBSs, bulletin board services. This is back in the mid-90s, right? The first ones that I was a member of anyways were in the mid to late 90s. They eventually morphed into what a modern forum looks like, but that wasn't really popular until the early 2000s. And a lot of these forums have subsequently become very, very popular and very, very big. They generate a tremendous amount of revenue for the owners. And, you know, that's all fantastic. And if you're a new shooter getting into this discipline, forums can be an absolutely phenomenal resource for information. Now, notice I said information. I didn't say knowledge. And there's a big difference between the two. As a general source of information, these forums are great because new product announcements, there's a lot of people on a lot of these forums, and so you hear about just about everything. And they're great for that. When you're first getting started, it's important to have a good idea of where the boundaries lie. And so if you're thinking about trying to set up your own test to perform to see whether a technique is going to work or not, it's important to understand all of the different ways that that could be set up. So all of the different viewpoints. It's great for that because there's no shortage of opinions being shared on forums. Everyone is happy to share their opinion on a forum. Now, why are forums dead then, if that's the case? Because they're more popular than ever. There's more users on them than ever. There's more posts being made every day than ever, seemingly. So then why are they dead? Well, here's why they're dead. If you're a new guy getting into the discipline and you go to look at a forum and you're just consuming information, well, they would seem to be the greatest thing in the world. But if you are an industry guy, if you are innovating something, if you are providing an original contribution, that's where you find forums are dead. Because you cannot share a new original idea on the forum without a professional skeptic coming in and trying to rip you, your company, and your idea apart. It doesn't matter how valid your idea is. The Auto Trickler V4 is a prime example of this. Adam McDonald, by all accounts, he's a fairly nice guy. I haven't met him personally, but, you know, for him to get ripped apart on there, that's kind of telling. And so folks really coming down hard on him. And this doesn't matter who it is, right? So this is an important distinction to make. Because when you're a consumer of information and you're just reading, the forums can be a fantastic tool. When you're an innovator that's trying to break into new territory or trying to offer an original idea, that's when it becomes a problem. But my experience with this is pretty lengthy. I, believe it or not, have quite a few original contributions to this discipline. Flame color change annealing. I pioneered that method. I was torn apart when I shared it because obviously Tempolac and the way that it's been done for however many years, that's the only way that we can do that. All right, so there's that. Another original idea, cleaning your barrel with CLR. I still get attacked over that. And keep in mind, all of these original ideas that I shared, I'm the first one to share them, they all resulted in my persecution. And so there's not an original idea, and there's not a person that I can think of that can share original idea on a forum or in any social space without attracting these professional skeptics. Tumbling your brass in rice. Now that's not my original idea, but I certainly brought it to the forefront and tested it very extensively and found it to work phenomenally well. That too found me being persecuted. Back in 2014, Tangent Theta Optics came out, and I said then, hey, these are the best scopes in the world. They're the best I've ever seen out of anything. And that too found me being persecuted, despite the fact that if you ask people where the pecking order is in optics today, you're going to have a tremendous number of people sound off that tangent theta is the top. So being right or perpetuating truth, that has nothing to do with whether or not you're going to be persecuted on these forums. I'll just put that out there right now. Our 6BR magazine kits that allow you to run little short cartridges like the 6BR and that whole family of Wildcats, the Grendel and BPC and the Valkyrie and all these little cartridges, you can use our 6BR kits to fix the feeding issues that you have in bolt-action rifles with these small cartridges. There's thousands of shooters out there that are using our kits to fix this problem, and that didn't stop us from being persecuted. The advent of how important it is to control primer seeding depth. Now, this is not an original idea. This has been out there for quite some time. However, in my own experience, there wasn't a tool available that would allow me to do it with the level of consistency that I felt was necessary to solve the problem of ignition timing in the placement of these primers. So I invented the CPS and subsequently patented that tool. And if you ask on any forum or any social space about that tool today, you'll get a cacophony of responses ranging from it's literally the best priming tool in the world to my $30 hand primer is every bit as good as that thing is. Now, isn't that strange? That huge wide array of responses. You know what the funny thing is? These skeptics, these professional skeptics on these forums, they have one thing in common. Most of the time, they have absolutely no experience with the thing that they're talking about. That should be a clue. So over a decade of providing instructional content on YouTube, roughly 15 to 16 years of providing instruction in article format, and the common thread is skeptics will not help you. People that are trying to convince you that new equipment and new techniques will not work, they are generally wrong. Listening to them will not help you. Now, my primary purpose here is to be a mentor of shooters. The skeptics would have you stay exactly where you are. They would convince you that all new ideas are stupid. If you let that kind of mentality bleed into you and you accept that as your mode of operation, you're simply not going to have the right mindset, because the mindset of someone that's going to be advancing through the plateaus quickly, the mindset of someone that's going to be really, truly advancing quickly and understanding the principles, not just parroting what they've seen someone else do, that person has to have a very can-do, positive mindset. They need to be looking for the ways that techniques can succeed rather than trying to see if they can force the technique to fail in order to gain some imaginary internet points. The mindset that you have when you're dealing with the consumption of information, it is probably the number one thing that will take shooters that could advance and cause them to be stuck right where they are and paralyzed, unable to move. If you're approaching this with an open mind, you'll quickly discover that through your own testing, because when you're testing with the mindset of trying to make sure that you're doing it correctly, make sure that this thing works, you're actually actively trying to find ways to prove the idea true. When you're doing that, you're going to inevitably make other discoveries. That's the real bread and butter of pressing your will into all of this and not letting the skeptics sidetrack you. Because when you're learning, you will uncover things that are related to what you're trying to test, but might not actually be the specific thing that you're testing. So it's very important to not let the skeptic and negative mindset pollute your thought process. Keep it clean, keep it pure, and always be looking for advancement, knowing that anything anyone says could potentially lead you to a discovery that would allow you to have an original contribution to this discipline. Well, the next obvious question then is, knowing all that, where do I go? Because if the forums are terrible, and they are, right? If you're not a rookie, the forums are pretty terrible because you can't have a high-level discussion about anything there. The consensus of the 10 loudest people, they will never agree about anything. And there's some things where they'll kind of get along a little bit, and if you don't think what they think, well, then you're not going to be part of the cool kids club, and they'll just ostracize you to no end. So participating on a forum is almost useless. So what do you do then when you want to have high-level discussions? You find a mentor. You find multiple mentors. You pick what it is that you're trying to learn, and you find the person that is absolutely the most experienced at that particular thing. Now, our mentorship program is done via right here on the YouTube channel. And you just join the channel, and as long as you're at the apprentice level or higher, hey, you can call me whenever you want. We can discuss any of the ballistic aspects that you'd like when it comes to hand loading technique, setting that rifle up, driving it through the recoil impulse. I mean, there's a ton of topics that I'm very, very well versed on. But I tell you what, when it comes to positional shooting, I kind of suck. I spend most of my time on a tripod or prone. So tripod shooting, hey, I've got you covered on that. But if we're talking about improvised positions and stuff, I tell you what, you guys should go look up Phil and Kalen over at Modern Day Sniper. Those guys are doing some fantastic work in that space. Now that's just one place that I could recommend you to go look for that particular aspect of the discipline, right? But the point here is find a mentor. Find multiple mentors. And big shocker, all of the most accomplished people that I know that would be qualified to mentor shooters, they don't post on forums. They avoid forums like the plague. They'd rather get kicked in the crotch than sit and post on a forum because they have been there, they've done that, they know exactly what's going to happen. They know exactly the personalities that they're going to run into there. So don't waste your time thinking that it's your obligation to bring people along if you find yourself in a position of mentorship. If you're one of those movers and shakers in the industry and you're coming up with original ideas, don't think that you've got an obligation to bring everybody on the forums along with you. I made that mistake for probably like a decade and a half of my career, and it was pointless, okay? Because it doesn't matter how much I've changed my mode of behavior. It doesn't matter how much I've changed the way that I address people on forums. They treat me the same way no matter what. I'm ostracized to the nth degree. And to be frank, once upon a time it really bothered me. I don't even care anymore. Because those personality types that are engaging in that kind of behavior, I know exactly who they are. I know exactly what they represent. That mindset is the antithesis of everything that I'm about. So, hey, it's okay. Set it down. Just let them go. If someone's not paying you for your advice, you have no obligation to explain anything to those people. So let those skeptics do what skeptics do. Let them do it in all the places that they would do it. Go seek wise counsel from experienced people. Find yourself a mentor or multiple mentors that can properly instruct you from a place of strong experience, that can explain complex things to you very simply. Follow what they say, and you will advance. Eventually, you'll get to a point where you can start making original contributions of your own. But don't let the peanut gallery drag you down, because they're not invested in you. Now, if you're a member of our channel, if you have been an apprentice member or higher of our channel, I'm invested in you. You're investing in me, and so I'm obligated to provide results for you. And I take that extremely seriously. Other mentors, you also pay them for their advice and their help and their equipment and whatever it may be that you're going to get from them in the way of services or products. You're paying them, they will deliver. Now, there's a lot of charlatans that you can pay that won't deliver anything. So this too is a minefield you really got to watch out for. But hey, this is 2022, folks. It's not 2002. The landscape is a lot easier to view from a distance. Look at our YouTube channel. Hundreds of videos. And if you can't figure out the kind of person that I am or the mindset that I put forth when it comes to training by watching just our Bullets from the Bible series, right? And a lot of those are paywalled behind our subscription fees now, right? But if you can't watch a few episodes of that and gain an appreciation for the kind of instructor that I am, the kind of mentor mindset that I put forth, well then you can always call. Now a lot of the other outfits that you can choose to go and train with, they too will have phone numbers that you can call. They'll have instructors that you can talk to. The point is that if you're really trying to pursue this discipline and become the absolute best shooter that you can be, forums will not be a huge part of that. Early on, they will be an invaluable resource because the gathering of information is great. And even when you reach your apex performance, forums are still good for getting notified of new equipment and various new things that are coming out. But what they are not is a place to discuss high-level, new, original ideas. Things that will not apply, like the vast majority of the high-level topics, will not apply to the vast majority of shooters. The high-level topics are only going to be for the people that they've already walked the path by some large margin. They have already made massive discoveries. They're shooting consistent sub 3/4, half MOA, something like that, and they're looking for every little edge that they can get. Because I tell you what, going from a 1 MOA shooter to a half MOA shooter is relatively straightforward, relatively easy. You can buy your way there to a certain degree, and the tiniest little bit of knowledge on how to get on a rifle properly, how to manage natural point of aim, and how to get that trigger press and bolt manipulation to take place without violating any of that, that's actually fairly straightforward. Those gains will come much smaller later. And that's why it's so difficult to have these conversations about high-level topics in social spaces. The vast majority of the people that are the loudest, they do not spend very much time actually shooting. They don't have a firing schedule that's healthy. They're not shooting frequently. They don't have a round count that's appreciable with enough different cartridges and enough different environments to weigh in with an experience-based mindset on the high-level topics. The other fact is that the most popular aspect of the sport is probably field competition, NRL, PRS. Those competitions are focused mostly these days at improvised firing positions. And they're shooting at relatively large targets, like 1.5 to 2.5 MOA targets. I think on average it'd probably be 2 MOA if I was to guess. But I tell you what, even if that is the case, and it is true that there's a lot of people that will not benefit from a lot of the high-level discussion. Every single shooter that I have mentored that has adopted these higher-level thought processes, higher-level techniques, higher-end equipment, they all say the same thing. They see a consistency to their performance that they have not seen before. We're not talking about taking a mediocre shooter and turning them into the world-class best shooter in the world. What we're talking about is eliminating those flyers. And I pull the air quotes on flyers there, folks, because most of the time, they're not flyers. That's just how you shoot. You can reduce those flyers by paying attention here, by paying attention here, by paying attention to your rifle. You can reduce those flyers. You can reduce those called shots that are off point of aim to almost zero if you adopt the correct mindset. And that's the critical aspect that the forums will never let you grow past if you're too attached to them. So I would encourage you to think very critically about the level of information that you're getting, where you're getting it from, whether or not you're advancing at a rate that you're comfortable with, or whether you think that you might be able to advance more and more quickly if you were to find yourself some different mentors and fire the skeptics. Literally, cancel the skeptics. Get them out of your life. They're not helping you. When's the last time a skeptic paid one of your bills? When's the last time a skeptic helped you hit a target that you couldn't hit otherwise? The skeptics are not the ones that are going to be helping you, folks. The optimists, like me, where I am telling you, you can hit any target you want, no matter how far away it is or how small it is. You can do it. Now, you might not be able to do it right now, But setting yourself up for success in your mind is one of the most important aspects of being an outstanding shooter. If you're going to be a student of the discipline, a true student of discipline, you have to have a positive mindset. You cannot be sitting around and using other people's accomplishments to prop up your lack of accomplishment. You must adopt a positive mindset, and you must adopt a can-do attitude. You have to be looking and believing that you're going to hit those targets before you even press the trigger. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for failure. A skeptic is not going to help you in that, I assure you. Positive thinkers, original contributors, those are the types of people that you should look to for mentorship. They are going to help you move forward in your discipline. Well, I hope you enjoyed this talk about forums and their validity and avoiding the skeptics and being able to move forward in your career. Please like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't already, and please check out our membership. Click that little join button down there, and we'll see what kind of shooter we can get you to become.